All right, as we mentioned in the first of this series, please read this description and the risk disclosures. And my opinion is just that. I believe this is what I think a student can do eventually if they are applying what I've taught. But not everybody's going to get these results, obviously. All right, so where we left off with the January results, we're going to now take a look at the February 2022 results. So I'm going to set the range date for February 1st to the last day of February 28th. Double checking my margins. I like to make sure the page is completely full. And we're going to print that PDF file now. And we're going to just change the name to February here. And that way everything will be on the up and up. All right, take note of the time that I'm doing this in the upper left hand corner on the broker and on the lower right hand corner of my laptop. So the times are matching. Pull that file up. Alright, so it's still printing. Until it completely finishes, it'll do this. So I was going to edit it out, but I don't want any edits. I don't want any cuts or anything like that, so I'll give it a couple more. And you can see it's still so give it a moment here. Again, it's a longer file. A lot more trades were taken in February. So I'm going to show you that it's just printing still. That's what it's saying here because it's still in the print spooler. Just a little bit longer. And there we are. So there is the statement. Now it's a little bit of a lag, but there's the time right there and the time down here. So there's no real disparity between the two time reference points from actually creating the PDF file and what's actually being shown here. And again, I'm literally just scrolling through this, and yes, it's monotonous. Yes, it feels ridiculous. And a lot of you that don't really require me doing this are shaking your head like this is ridiculous. Why do you do this? But imagine you were that person that's been sitting on the fence and you've watched people on the internet try to make a name for themselves at throwing mud at me, making up things that are completely untrue. Wouldn't you feel better if you saw this? If you were the one that were doubting? And that's all I'm doing here. And also just thumbing my nose at the guy. So we're scrolling through all of your hard copies of the PDF file. The link will be in the description of the video. You're absolutely welcome to download that directly and you'll see everything matches what has been printed here. I am not changing anything. I'm not editing anything in my YouTube videos. Once they're up, I don't do anything to doctor them. And also, my mentorship students know that once I make a video or make a presentation of some kind, I won't go back and edit anything. So if there's an error, if there's an oversight, if I omit something because of not remembering it, or if I say something incorrectly, I own it. It is what it is. So I'm never going to go back and fix anything. Okay. I'm showing you this obviously as a contrast to what everybody else will never do on the internet. They're afraid that you're going to see a trade result that has a negative hash mark next to it. Okay. So they're afraid to show you a losing transaction. I want you to completely grow comfortable with seeing transactions that do not pan out, because that does not end your career. Okay, they're speed bumps, folks. And over your career, if you added up every single negative transaction, one that's not profitable, it's going to be a lot of money if you are in the business long enough. So get accustomed to seeing it. Don't fear it. Don't be swayed by it. Don't feel like you're a failure because of it. You need to be attentive to it, but don't fear it, okay? So I'm going to show you a engineered train wreck here on Valentine's Day, my anniversary. Valentine's Day Massacre. And we'll get to that when we get to the 14th. I got questioned by one of my students. How do we fix drawdown Destiny? This is for you. But we're going to now go back to the broker. Okay, so everything that's here is in detail on that PDF file that was just printed. And again, the link will be in the description of the video below. So we're going to look at the first trading day of February. There's the business there. Okay, and watch the balance that changes each day. Okay, so a little bit of a busy day there. And the next trading day here. And a little bit more trades, a little bit more busier than would be expected. And so right about now, the trader, in my opinion, would encounter some internal struggle where they're trying to find their own groove, okay? And you only do that by getting in there and actually executing. So in the beginning, you want to be mindful of not over trading. Don't do a whole lot of transactions. It is as beneficial as you can make it as long as you're not blowing the account out. So if you're taking lots of transactions for the sake of overcoming the anxiety of entering, okay, lots of transactions can overcome that. And you get in, as soon as you get the transaction entered, you exit it, and then watch how the trade pans out. That's the only way you're going to be able to do it. And then you have a day like this where it's extremely busy. And this would be a day where over trading would be more or less what's being done here. So you shouldn't have days like that. You don't want to do that. You want to have a very controlled number of trades and transactions and try not to do a whole lot of in and out, unless you're trying to desensitize yourself to execution. I have lots of students that are fearful of taking trades because they don't know what the end result's going to be and they don't know how to exit profitably, but they feel confident about seeing a setup. And here's another day like this. A lot more trades that would be otherwise reasonable. Okay, next trading day here on the month of February. Again, if you're fearing execution entries, the only thing you can do is push the button, get in it. Once you have the transaction recorded, exit it out. Now, for someone that's been trading for a while, you hear something like that, it's like, man, this is nonsense. Why would you want to do that? Remember, this is the context of what I'm showing you here is that a student that has been doing demo only, there's a great chasm of learning that separates demo and live trading. So some of the things that I have seen over the years as a mentor is fear of executing. And the questions come up like, I see the setup, but I'm afraid to take and pull the trigger. The only thing you can do is pull the trigger. You have to do that. So the way you would go into that systematically to desensitize yourself from it is put the trade on, eat the cost of the commission, and whether the trade is profitable or not profitable at the time you exit it, that's how you do it. And then you study what transpired after your execution. And it's just a matter of doing that over and over again. And what will happen is you'll grow more confident in your execution model. What's your framework? Is it a fair value gap? Is it an order block? Is it an optimal trade entry? Is it a breaker? All the things that I'm teaching, or it may not even be what I'm teaching. Maybe something else that you have, or maybe you developed yourself. Whatever that model is, if you're fearful of taking a trade or executing it in a live account, you desensitize yourself by just simply taking lots of trades. And Larry Williams said that's what he did. He was fearful of taking a trade, and the only way he beat it was just taking trades over and over and over again. And then more or less that's how I did it too as a commodities trader back in 1992. And It works, but you have to be careful not to blow the account and overstay your welcome. And you can see here, obviously the market's presenting a lot of conditions that would otherwise be impactful to the bottom line here. And this is a day where you're going to want to change gears. Okay, lots of drawdown on the 14th, almost like 20% or so. So we have to go back into following the rules. Following the rules, you're moving away. So now we're back in following the rules, taking one good setup, and being content with it, moving to the sidelines. Okay, next trading day. Not bad. Just a few transactions. First trade was a losing trade and mitigated that. Came back with a net gain on the day. Not by much, but there's still some growth going on. Not getting too aggressive about the frequency of trade. The trader about this point will start finding it a little bit more easier to get in and find their groove, their model, their mojo, if you will. There's the transactions there. I warned you it was going to be a boring video, folks. But some of you folks just simply want to see this kind of stuff. And there's just a really small little day there. And when you don't feel it, you don't see something, you don't execute. You leave it alone. Then you have another day here where you feel like you missed a move and you get spiteful and you go, oh, I'm going to go in here and I'm going to try to get what I want to get. And then you end up over trading again. What's the solution to this? What do you do to correct this right here? Lower your frequency of trade. Set yourself a boundary on the next trading day. 1 or 2 at most trades. If you start going over 3 and all that, you're asking for trouble. Okay, we see no trades taken there. That's the opposite extreme, is if you don't trust yourself, you force yourself to stop. Don't take any trades. Just observe. Go back to tape reading. And I mentioned on my YouTube channel that I wasn't going to take any more trades the rest of the month of February, and you're seeing that actually occurring here. So I'm getting the ending balance of January, and comparing it to the ending balance of February. So January's ending balance, there's the difference, or the net gain. You divide that by January's ending balance, and that'll give you your rate of return, which is positive 31% for February next month.